I did watercolors basically full-time for 20 years. And over that time, I did develop a certain style. Like, a lot of it started when I was traveling. I was working a lot with a pen, and I was doing a lot of cross-hatching and watercolors, which at that time I guess was called like pen and wash or something. And then when I got back from that, I started to take the watercolors even to a next level, where I was actually cross-hatching with the watercolors over colors. And I developed this real distinct watercolor style. But of course the key is not to overwork it, and that's the big problem that a lot of people have with watercolors, is that you lose the freshness and the crispness, and it just becomes really mucky and muddy, and all the colors kind of all blend together. So for me, I mean, it's very important to keep the intensity very dark, but on the other hand to keep the light and to keep it very crisp and light. And that's the biggest challenge, I mean, is to keep the transparency of the paper, which shows through, and yet to attain a certain degree of contrast that you're trying to achieve. After I finish this, I'll go back over it again with the tone just a little bit darker, and I'll do probably one last one. So it goes from the wash to the first line to this, then I go once, then I go twice, then I go 3 times, and then I'll go back over. Like here, it's probably done about 5 times now. And this in here is done.
I find that he's a great watercolorist, and you have to be very proficient when it comes to watercolors, because once you commit yourself to it, it's done. You can't go back and correct it because the paint dries very, very quickly. And that's why a lot of artists are not capable of doing work in watercolor, because after they put it down, they find that they have to correct it. They find that they have to go over things. And of course, his technique probably was done before, but he's mastered it. He's given it a new spin. And I still think that his best work was his watercolors.
This is the technique that I've been actually doing for the last 20 years. It's sort of evolved over the years, and it's very distinctive, and it's gotten me a fair amount of publicity in certain places, and because nobody else does it. A lot of people think this is pointillism because they see these little dots and they say, what is this? It's all about these all little dots. And it's actually the opposite of pointillism. It's the light coming through the cross-hatching. The dots are the result of what's left after I work over the top. I got to a point where I wasn't really learning anything anymore. I was just repeating the same process over and over again that I'd done as I perfected it over the years. I was basically just repeating the same process, and it was getting less and less interesting for me to do it. I mean, I just wanted to do something different, and I couldn't envision myself doing it basically for the rest of my painting life, you know. And then that's why I changed at one point and went into the acrylics. I'm doing the same technique I used to do, except it's just really big brush strokes. Before, I used to do all these tiny little lines. In this area here, it's like one brush stroke is equivalent to, like, I don't know, thousands of little lines one over on top of the other. It's a cross-hatching technique in some ways, but on a very large scale.